Hey everybody, Chris with Christopher Farms. Welcome back. Today's project, I want to move this freezer that I actually use as a refrigerator, and I'll explain how I do that later, from inside tiny house to outside in the shed. I'd been thinking about this for a while, and I actually watched a video, one of Starry Heller's videos, about her off-grid life, and she was talking specifically about freezers and refrigerators, and she said, well, we're going to move them all outside for the winter. I thought, I've been delaying this for a while. I need to do that. The reason I want to move this outside, well, there's two reasons. Number one being that I heat the inside to like 85 or sometimes 90 degrees depending on how hot the wood stove's going, and then maybe I open windows and cool it off. But the point is, it gets really hot in here. And if it's really hot inside, it's really hot all the way around my freezer or refrigerator thingy here. And so it doesn't make any sense to keep it inside an environment that I heat up, because I'm fighting the outside temperature to get the inside temperature cool. And I'm totally off grid. Now, if I was paying for electricity, well, that's a longer story. But I'm off grid, so I want to conserve as much power as I can. So I want this to live in a cool environment, so it takes less to make it cool inside based off the temperature that surrounds it. So, like I said, I'm moving it to the storage shed. So a couple of things I got to do. I've cleaned around it, and it's actually empty. I haven't used it in a couple of days because it's been cool, and I have a cooler, and I'll talk about that here in a minute as well. But yeah, so it's got to go out to the porch. Hi, Spot Dog. Got to go out to the porch, and I got to get a couple of skids. I don't want to sit it directly on the ground, so there's some skids that I'm going to go grab, and I'm going to move this outside. And then I'll talk about some off-grid freezing and refrigeration theory here in a minute as well. Alright, I've arrived at the pallet storage area, or whatever it's called. I actually live on a 60-acre farm lot, and they have a October harvest festival here, sell pumpkins, and they got a little petting zoo and stuff like that. And there's a barn, but I don't really have access to it. So at any rate, I can use these pallets, and I'm going to use probably this one here because it's almost like a full floor. And I don't know if I'll put another one. No, I'll probably just use one. And also, at one point, I think I want to do some shelves, make them out of this. But at any rate, I'm going to get this pallet loaded. Alright, so I've got everything in place. Got the chest freezer here. I got power ran out to it, got power strips so I can plug some lighting into it at one point later on. So why do I have a chest freezer that I've actually been using as a refrigerator, and how do you do that? So I've had this for, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, I don't remember now. And the entire time I've been actually using it as a refrigerator. Well, when you're off grid and you want to think about conserving power, a traditional refrigerator, you can run a traditional refrigerator off grid, it's not a problem at all. But every time you open that door, because cold air is heavier and denser than warm air, the cold air, I'm listening to the dogs play, the cold air falls out the bottom of the refrigerator, and then when you close the refrigerator, you have to recool that air, or cool that air that's now come into the refrigerator. With a chest freezer, when you open it up, the cold air doesn't fall out the bottom because you're accessing the top. It's a little less convenient than a regular refrigerator, but you can get some baskets and stuff. This actually came with it. I bought this basket, and I think I'm going to make another basket that sits down in there. But it's not too bad, and it works. And the way you make a chest freezer into a refrigerator is you get one of these guys, and you want to have it a mechanical one, not one that uses circuits and stuff that has to have power all the time. And so this one's from Johnson Control, and basically this is a thermostat, and the dial goes from 20 degrees on the low side to 80 degrees on the high side, and when it detects that the temperature is above whatever the set point is, like for example 32 degrees, through putting this into the space that you want to have come on and off, or the space that you want to know what the temperature is, you could do this, you could use it a fan or something like that. It doesn't have to be a freezer, but you plug it in here and it turns it on and off. And the reason you want this mechanical is because like my inverter, it will have a power save mode, and so it actually sits off for like 5 seconds and then clicks on for a second, sees if anything needs any power, and if not, it shuts back off in its energy saving mode. And so this doesn't require electricity to determine if it needs to be on or off. It flips the relay in here when it needs to be off, so that energizes the circuit. My freezer comes on, and you want to make sure that you don't have like a digitally controlled module or something. You just want a plain old chest freezer that can work if you plug it in or unplug it, and then it controls that. And so that's how you that's how you turn a chest freezer into a refrigerator, and it works really, really well. The other thing, one thing though, I found that the chest freezer will sit there on for a few seconds and it won't kick my inverter out of power save mode. So I actually put another load, like a lamp. It's actually my air compressor that provides enough load that the inverter says, hey, yeah, and then after a few seconds the refrigerator kicks on. And then once the refrigerator kicks off, because of this control, then the inverter goes back into power save mode. But I'm going to try it as a freezer for a while. I have a cooler, and I think I'm going to use the cooler as my refrigerator and just use gallon jugs of ice, have a couple of them or maybe 3 of them, and put them in here, let them freeze, and then I'm going to transfer them out, switch them out into my cooler to keep my cooler cold, because I found that I'm really missing having a freezer. And like I could cook a big batch of chili, for example, and I could do a double batch and then have whatever I want for dinner that night, and then package the rest up and freeze it, and then grab it going out to work, or I could freeze or thaw out a couple of portions later on or something like that for dinner. So I think I'm going to try the freezer thing for a while. And you know, I've got enough space right here. I could actually go out and buy another one of these. It was about 130 bucks, and I could have a refrigerator and freezer, but I think I'll just try the cooler thing for the refrigerator for now and see how it goes. So that's it. That's in a nutshell. I was setting my refrigerator / freezer outside, and sort of my off-grid freezer refrigerator theory 101-ish. Take care.